It's no secret that I'm a big fan of Art and Fable when it comes to puzzles. I believe they have the best production values on the market for puzzles that you can actually afford. Of course, you can go into those like boutique puzzles made in 20 copies, made of ivory, cut by Tibetan monks with their teeth. I don't know. Those puzzles that you need to get a new mortgage on your house to afford. When it comes to puzzles you can actually buy in a store, Art and Fable to me has the best production values. The puzzles just look amazing. They feel great. They have the velvety touch. And they're designed with so many little touches that really give you the sense that it's not just they took an image and cut it, but they really have the experience of puzzling in mind. They're really thinking about the things you would like to have when you're solving a puzzle, and they give them to you. Such as, for example, of course, you get the awesome lid. And now also look, they also give you this little sticker here, but they have this item here, which is a holder for the box. So actually now the box can stand on the table next to you as you solve the puzzle. And they also come with a nice print that you can simply use as decoration for your home, or now you can have two images as you're solving the puzzle, one on one side, one on the other. Comes with a Ziploc bag, not a secondary concern. It's kind of nice. Sometimes you want to separate those things from some pieces from other pieces. So the only negative, the only limiting things that they had, Art and Fable, is that up to now they only had puzzles up to 500 pieces. They didn't have anything larger than that. 1,000 pieces is my favorite size for a puzzle. By far the largest number of puzzles they solved were 1,000 pieces each. And now, lo and behold, finally they started publishing puzzles that are 1,000 pieces. Now you have the best production values on the market with my favorite size. So excited. I was so happy when I received this puzzle in the mail. The subject also appeals to me very much. The roses of Heliogabalus, just more evidence that the Italians know how to party, and they have been good at it since back then, since the times of the Romans. As you can imagine, also a fairly challenging puzzle because, well, roses everywhere. So basically a gradient puzzle with no gradient, with just a mess of colors. But still, I was very excited to solve it, and I can tell you already this is one of my favorite puzzles in my collection. It was such a joy to solve it, so beautiful to look at it. But speaking of that, probably you'll want to take a look at it, so let's do that now. Look at it, look at the beauty, the majesty of this puzzle. The pieces are thick, very good fit, as you can see from me being able to lift up this entire section. In fact, I wanted to show you how thick a piece is, and I'm having a hard time removing it with just one hand. So the pieces are nice and thick. They link together very well. There's almost no dust in the box, so that's another non-secondary factor. It's nice not to have it and annoying when you get that. And it has that velvety touch. When you give the puzzle the rub that every puzzle solver knows, the rub at the end is just so much more pleasant. And when you solve the puzzle, also, of course, that velvety element is part of the experience, and that's one of the reasons why I like to solve jigsaw puzzles in real life instead of on a screen. Digital puzzles just don't have the nice tactile element, which is so intense and nice here. As for solving the puzzle, real challenge, more than I expected. Not the roses, that part was challenging, but I expected that. For some reason, other sections of the puzzle also proved to be particularly challenging, and I don't know why. Even in retrospect, I would have believed that that column and this sort of altar here, or this step here, should have been easy, but they weren't. I kept mixing the two of them. This part, how hard can it be? And yet gave me more trouble than I expected. The bottom of the table and this area here, just because they're dark, and I know they're dark, they should have been easy to put together, and yet not so much. Maybe one thing that I can say that is less than superb is sometimes, especially when it comes to we came to the edges, some pieces look right but they weren't. That is, this puzzle is great for so many reasons, but there isn't a huge variety of different cuts, of different proportions and shapes in which the connections are made, outward, inward connections. And so sometimes you would have two pieces that here, since it's fairly homogeneous, they will look right, and then you go around and you realize that it's impossible, go back, and then you undo some of those pieces. That's universally considered a flaw among puzzle solvers. We like challenging puzzles, but we like them to be fair. We like to know that when you put a piece in a place that it looks right, it should be right. To go back and second guess your choices is not great, and that's the one thing that I would say I could have been done better, but again, the overall experience of this puzzle is still so great that I wanted to point out that very small negative, and I wish there were different proportions, you know, bigger, smaller, different shape to prevent false positives, let's call them that way. So but once I solved the edges with some difficulty because of some false positives, then I proceed to do the sky because it's my favorite part, so why not? And then this area here, and then I thought I will easily do this part here and then the roses first, but again, actually I was stumbling on some of these areas to the point that I did not finish everything but the roses before I started the roses, because I wanted some of these parts of the roses here to help me anchor some of these other non-rosy parts. And that was surprising. So if you think this puzzle is going to be challenging because of the roses, you are right, but I found it more challenging than that. Again, the false positives didn't bother me all that much, but I thought I mentioned that, but ultimately I definitely enjoyed the challenge. Seeing this image emerge, finding every time you find a connection in these areas here, some are distinctive. These roses here, they're different colors, but some, they're just so many that look exactly the same. Again, the shapes are not vastly different, so that's a challenge. So definitely was difficult part, but particularly satisfying. When you find a connection, there's just that sense of relief and accomplishment that really is nice. And at the end, well, at the end you have this beautiful image, so that is also quite remarkable. Excellent puzzle. The one thing I wanted from Art and Fable, which is 1,000 pieces puzzle, now I have it. I'm incredibly happy with this puzzle. I cannot recommend it enough to anybody who is willing to accept the challenge. But if you do it and you're a serious puzzler, I think you'll be very, very happy, very pleased, as I was. The Roses of Heliogabalus by Art and Fable, simply an excellent puzzle, and I can't wait to try more puzzles in this side by this publisher.